In Violet, a film development executive realizes that the guiding voice inside her head has been lying to her about everything. This one comes written and directed by Justine Bateman and stars Olivia Munn as well as Justin Theroux in the role of the voice. This was a really surprising and I think surprisingly strong feature here from Justine Bateman. Amanda, what was your reaction to Violet?
I really liked it. Like, I was kind of immediately interested just to see kind of like what Olivia Munn was doing. The premise alone seemed really, really good because it's just like there's so many different ways that they can approach something like a voice in your head. There's the really obvious way that I kind of thought they were going for, but then when you actually get down to what it's trying to say, it's a lot more real and more relatable to a lot of different people. I thought it was super unique. There's like kind of like a movie that she really wants to get made like within this movie that I feel like it kind of inspired a lot of the stuff that's happening as you're watching, because she has this voice kind of coming into her head, but then there's text on screen that kind of feels like poetry of her almost reacting to these things that she's experiencing and hearing and thinking about herself and internalizing. And then we kind of get to see how like the outside world reacts to the things that she's hearing. Not that they can hear it, but you know, she has all these thoughts in your head and you're like, oh my God, what is this person doing with their life? And then it's like, wow, this person's like really successful. This person is in like a really good career and like really good at it. And then I thought it was just kind of really interesting how it progressed out from there. And it doesn't go for any kind of like cheap big things later on to try to like amplify it in some kind of like psychological thriller type way. It is still very good and very gripping, but I really appreciated how it kind of came together. And it's one of these ones, it's one of those ones that I would have been worried being like, it almost got there and then it just didn't, which we've been experiencing so much from film festivals this year. And I think this one actually did it. This one nailed it. It got exactly what it was going for, in my opinion.
And it doesn't do too much either.
Yes.
Like you said, it doesn't overstep it where it becomes this crazy thing. She's still a normal person who has these thoughts in her head. One of them being Justin Theroux, who is that voice that's always kind of, telling her all of the negative things that makes her worry, that makes her think that she's not good enough. While at the same time, the poetry type writing is kind of the things that she does want to open up about. But the voice kind of like overshadows it.
Up.
It's kind of like the angel, the devil kind of scenario that's going on, that's fighting in between her. But one of the aspects that I really liked about it was you see sequences in where her opening up, like you said, she has that project she really wants to focus on. The reason why it's the writing on the screen instead of her saying it is because whenever she does say it, then it's damn her, because now it's become something that she's opened up about that someone can use against you. And it really not only just puts you in her state of mind, but shows you why it has to remain there, because whenever it does come out, it can be used against her. And I thought they did a great job breaking that down.
Yeah, through the things that you've mentioned, it's got that voiceover, it's got this text on screen, it's got these intrusive visuals, a lot of times that are really chaotic, and sometimes even the full screen will get tinted in another color, and there's these ominous sounds that come up. It's using all the different elements of filmmaking available to them to try and give you this representation of like anxiety and of imposter syndrome and of intrusive thoughts and what it's like to doubt yourself and experience this kind of negative self-talk. And one of the things that I really loved is how you can really feel her at battle with that, how there are times where she has to speak out loud as her character, but to herself to try and hush the voice, and how she will ignore what it's saying and then it gives into it because it's a constant pestering. And I think the way that noise of thought was represented in a way that is cinematic is really special about this movie. I was really impressed by that quality of it, to literalize something that is so internal mostly. They've made a movie where the protagonist's brain is the antagonist, and I think that's an impressive feat, especially like doing that in a non-sci-fi context. This is a very real movie.
Yeah.
Usually this would be in a book, Every single time that you have an adaptation of a book, what always gets lost is all that inner monologue. I always think of, what's her name from Game of Thrones? The young or the middle Stark, how a lot of Sansa's stuff came from her inner monologue. And then when you see it in the show, she's just standing there. Here, you get to see what causes Olivia Munn to say what she does to her ex, because you see it all play out in her head before it actually comes out. But I agree with you. I think it's fantastic. It showcases that you don't need to be a sci-fi that's $200 million. You can do chaos walking in an actual good way here in this movie called Violet.
Zach's a little salty.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah.
Zach in his mind is going, how dare he tell him the
Yeah, we're lucky we're not in the chaos walking world right now. This was, I think, one of the better Olivia Munn performances that I've seen. I kind of just root for her because of Attack of the Show, honestly. But
I felt part of that also comes into this as well, with some conversations, right? Mm-hmm. I like that.
There's some interesting dynamics of Hollywood and particularly being a female executive in this world. I think I saw Robert Daniels say that parts of it reminded him of The Assistant, that Julia Garner, Kitty Green movie. And I totally see that comparison, although it's maybe a little more direct, a little more on the nose in its commentary than a movie like The Assistant. That directness didn't really bother me here. I was so impressed by containing the central struggle within this small arena, that I think I've seen some people comment that the ending feels a little underwhelming to them. And I did not feel that way at all, because I was so impressed to reach a climax entirely through the means the story has been told, right? They don't have to bring in an external element. They don't have to make it a literalized argument between her and somebody else. It's down to her and her mind. She's essentially using therapy techniques to solve these movie problems. And I think that's amazing to put the tools of therapy into a drama. Is amazing to me. I really, really was impressed by what she did here, Justine Bateman.
And is it her feature debut? I think she's done a couple of shorts. Alina had no idea that was Jason Bateman's sister.
Yeah, and I think she was also on Facts of Life. And
so she's
done a bunch of work as an actress.
I like seeing that South by has had a lot of directorial debuts from either actresses or people who have done short films come out with some pretty strong feature debuts, because that just showcases that I don't know what the next one's going to be or the third one's going to be, but they're going to have one hell of a career.
Yeah. She was on Family Ties. I just got to correct myself before somebody comments does. Yeah. Definitely one of the more impressive features to come out of South by Southwest, and makes me more excited for her career, because this is also such an experimental movie in its form too, that she's somebody who's shown she's thinking about the ways in which she can tell a story a little bit differently. I appreciated so much about what this movie is doing.